Well, new Louisiana law is requiring hospitals to change their protocols after the law reclassifies two widely used abortion medications. Colin Vidros reached out to some of our local hospitals on required changes after the law went into effect.
As of October 1st, Louisiana became the first state in the nation to reclassify mifepristone and misoprostol as Schedule IV drugs, claiming them as controlled dangerous substances. Now, the Schedule IV drug classification is the same as Xanax and Valium. Mifepristone and misoprostol are used to manage miscarriages and treat severe bleeding post-delivery.
Well, mifepristone is a medication that is basically an anti-progesterone. It blocks progesterone's actions. And that combined with misoprostol, which is a prostaglandin, which creates an environment where the cervix starts to soften up and to start to dilate. And also it creates uterine contraction.
Both drugs are also the most commonly used abortion medication in the U.S., according to Planned Parenthood. However, according to the Associated Press, doctors fear reclassifying both drugs will cause a delay in accessing mifepristone and misoprostol for other medical needs. In fact, Planned Parenthood says misoprostol can be used for other medical uses. This includes miscarriage management and preventing and treating ulcers.
I think that it's important to realize that Schedule IV changes how we prescribe the medications, how pharmacists and hospitals have to monitor and store the medications, but they are still available. It's up to each pharmacy, each hospital, each doctor's office, if they were utilizing it, to figure out how to work around the new guidelines and the new rules that apply to the medications being scheduled for.
I reached out to our local hospitals on what their policy changes are to be in line with Louisiana law. Rapides Regional Medical Center said this in a partial statement. Due to changes in Louisiana law, mifepristone and misoprostol are now being stored in our controlled substances safe in the pharmacy at Rapides Regional Medical Center. Also stating, the protocol of administering the drugs has not changed and they continue to be dispensed through our Pyxis machines that secure medications. Also reached out to Christus St. Francis Cabrini Hospital for comments, but they declined to comment. In Alexandria, for News Channel 5, I'm Colin Vidros.